Hey everyone, welcome back to another Roman Reacts. We are here tonight to watch another video for you guys. This one is based on Subnautica, and this is from my older watch list that I haven't yet to look into. But it's basically the title is How Subnautica Uses Terror. It's the name, and we're going to be giving this a watch. And like I remember seeing a bunch of people play Subnautica, and like I just kind of get this apprehension feeling like whenever someone plays that there might be something lurking in the wall that is just there but they just can't see. So we're going to give this a watch, see what it's all about, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, big thank you for all the recent subs that have been pouring in. You guys are awesome. That has been keep on growing. I hope to continue to improve and earn your subscriptions and having a bunch of good times, you know. Also, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It does help out the channel. I just hope to continue. Let's maybe reach the goal of 1,500 subs, or maybe 2,000 subs. We'll maybe go with that. But yeah, that's pretty much it right now. Let's dive on in, shall we? All right, we got this set up and it's all good. So it's going to be very, very interesting, especially little dealio here, how Subnautica uses. All right. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Subnautica does a lot of things right. It's got a colourful and richly designed world, some really streamlined, intuitive base building, but what I think is the best bit of Subnautica is just how pants-shittingly terrifying it is. From the Leviathans, to these horrible monsters, to this spooktacular nightmarescape, so much of Subnautica is designed to creep you out and keep you on edge. What I'm talking about isn't horror, but terror. Now it's going to seem like I'm using two different words to describe the same thing, and alright, I kind of am. But to someone like Gothic pioneer Anne Radcliffe, horror and terror are actually very different. Radcliffe says that terror expands the soul and awakens the faculties to a high degree of life, whereas horror freezes and nearly annihilates them. I mean, what do you even need me for? That all seems pretty self-explanatory, right? Alright, to translate into modern day English, terror is all about suspense and the threat of danger, horror is all about actually scaring you and or grossing you out. So how does this manifest in video games? Spotting horror in games is pretty easy, there's a whole genre named after it. One of the most influential purely horror-based games out there right now is infamously hacky series Five Nights at Freddy's and its million sequels. Animatronic things are creepy because of the uncanny valley, and those same characters jumping out at you from nowhere and making a loud noise is enough to get the likes of Markiplier to lose their mind every time. Horror is primal and shocking. It plays on subconscious reactions to things we think are threats. Concepts of horror have gone unchanged since the days where early man was hunted by anthropomorphized animatronic mammoths and saber-toothed tigers. Horror games are scary, and they provide a brief endorphin thrill, but let's be honest, they're a bit cheap. Once the initial shock has worn off, that's about it, and you're unlikely to fall for the same thing twice. Terror, on the other hand, is much more insidious in nature. When Radcliffe goes on about how it's expanding the soul and awakening the faculties, she's talking about how terror is something conscious that happens in our imaginations. It's something uniquely human. Terror happens not when we see something scary, but when we imagine it. Terror is the dread that sets in as you cower in a room in Resident Evil 7. Your brain in overdrive trying to work out where exactly all the crazy zombie hillbillies are and all the many ways they can kill you. Terror is that damn water bit in Amnesia: The Dark Descent. The monster in this area will kill you if you even try and set foot in any of this water. You can't even see it, and that's what makes it so terrifying. Every splash, every noise, and every time you dip a toe into its domain sends your mind reeling into a state of panic and paranoia, far more effective than simply showing you a spooky ghost. Terror is well suited to games because it sticks with you, and imaginative human brains being what they are, will start to try and comprehend or to even fight the source, which only makes it more terrifying, provided they fail. This is one of the big things that sets Subnautica up as different from a lot of other survival games. In Minecraft, things like creepers, skeletons and zombies are clear, understandable threats with very obvious behaviours and spawning patterns. Even a novice player will quickly work out that enemies spawn in the dark, and will more often than not just make a beeline for you. Conversely, Subnautica is all about obfuscating that same information. Nearly every hostile creature behaves like a predator. They stalk you, they'll gang up on you, and more often than not they'll try to ambush you. Even some herbivorous creatures like the crashfish or sea treader have unique ways of getting in your face that the game does not warn you about. So, what does this mean? By withholding information other games will give freely, Subnautica doubles down on the feeling of a hostile alien world that really wants to kill you. If you're not paying attention, crab snakes, these horrible, I don't even know what it is, oh god, they're really dangerous and are liable to attack you without warning. Once you understand that these creatures are actually just highly territorial and will only attack you if you get too close to them or their designated home mushroom, they're much easier to avoid, but crucially, they're no less scary. Now that you understand the fact that they'll hide in mushrooms and ambush you, it turns this panorama from no crab snakes to about 10 potential ones lying in wait.
Ooh.
As you learn more about the world, the horror shock of seeing these beasties try to eat your face fades, but the terror remains. You know just enough about these creatures to be worried about their existence and the telltale signs of their attack, but not quite enough to be able to truly understand and overcome them. That hopelessness is key to what Radcliffe is going on about when she talks about awakening the faculties. By getting your brain to consider the real depth of your situation, rather than just reacting to scary things, the mind goes beyond horror and into terror. Subnautica does its best to ensure that you've never got the chance to really analyse these creatures by ensuring you've got no real offensive options. Every creature in the game can theoretically be killed, but the game never ever tells you that. Instead, creatures can be scared off if you do enough damage, and even if you do kill them, you're never rewarded for doing so. Unlike most other survival games, fighting enemies awards no materials or extra capabilities, so you learn to cut and run early on, ensuring that these underwater beasties remain scary. Of course, the lack of weapons and focus on defensive tools is all the consequence of the game making a deliberate statement about gun control in the real world, but it'd take a whole video to do that topic justice, so I've just put an interview in the description. In the early story of Subnautica, you're one of many crew members who survived in life pods that got ejected from your crashing ship, the Aurora. As you progress through the game, you'll get the occasional signal from other life pods for you to investigate. All of them, without fail, are empty, punctured by some sort of titanic creature. The bodies? Nowhere to be found. Wherever you go, there are no survivors except you from the Aurora crash. When the crew of the Sunbeam contact you, it's this ray of hope, a chance at salvation, that gets snatched away at the last moment. Even the spooky alien facilities are completely devoid of life for the most part. If there's one thing Subnautica wants you to feel, it is completely and utterly alone. Pretty terrifying, right? The mysterious deaths of everyone around you poses questions. What the hell is killing everyone? Well, some of it can be attributed to broken life pods or the big alien gun, but that doesn't explain the missing bodies. Something very big and very strong is systematically hunting down humans and devouring them. All the little clues and hints from the scuttled life pods to the vague warnings your AI helper and the audio logs you find give you about titanic creatures lurking in deeper waters paint a picture of a truly nasty monster. A Reaper Leviathan. Chances are you won't directly engage with the Leviathan until well into the game, but Subnautica is very eager to keep you on your toes. From across entire biomes, you can hear the telltale cry of the Reaper Leviathans, and you might be unlucky enough to catch a glimpse of one of these serpentine monstrosities from way off during your early exploration. These guys are way bigger than any other fish in the sea except the mighty reefback. Now, Subnautica is actually quite clever here. Your effective visibility is quite low, especially in the more dangerous areas owing to darkness, sand, radiation and the like. But the bioluminescence of nearly every creature can be seen at a much greater distance, giving you a few terrifying glimpses, especially of things like the ghost leviathans. Just seeing a flash of their telltale bright blue glow is enough to send the paranoid part of the human brain responsible for terror into overdrive, imagining what the hell that thing even is. My absolute favourite way the Subnautica devs cultivate a feeling of terror is through the Reaper's roars. Have a listen to this. That is the sound of a Reaper Leviathan looking for its next meal. Probably you. These roars have a radius of about half a kilometre, which translates into roughly a quarter of the map at any one time. you will be hearing these roars a lot. We've already talked about how the fear of the partially known builds on pre-existing anxieties, but Leviathans in particular have a special layer on top of that. Not long after you hear the roar of a Leviathan, in particular Reapers, you'll start spotting glimpses of one, even if you're on the edge of their territory. That's because the roar isn't just for show. If you can hear it, the Leviathan knows where you are, and will start to move towards you. They won't actually attack until you get within a much smaller radius, but this stealthy system guarantees you'll always have the creeping fear of a Reaper attack in the back of your mind, and in the more dangerous areas at least, one will always be hunting you. The skeptics among you are probably thinking right now, well yeah, sure, these monsters are scary when you first start out, but you'll get sick of them once they've killed you a million times, right? This is a common horror game problem. The baddies in Resi 7 stop being scary once you've died to them a few times. That's not just because the illusion of real danger is broken, but also because losing in a video game actually gives your brain some breathing room. You get a chance to respawn, recenter yourself in a safe environment, and think clearly for a change about where and how you died, what caused it, and how you can prevent it, lessening the threat of some of these big monsters, especially the Leviathans. That's why Subnautica pulls nearly all of its punches. It's almost insultingly easy. Here's a couple of examples. There's a really generous window to running out of oxygen, despite all the anxiety-inducing warnings. Ghost Leviathans, yeah, these big boys we saw earlier, they got an AI quirk that causes them to de-aggro when they land a charge attack to freak you out, but not actually kill you. Reaper Leviathans have this awesomely brutal grab attack they can do on Seamoths and prawn suits. Guess what? This attack only does about 50% of the Seamoth's health in damage and half that to suits. This means that unless you were already on death's door, you've got a pretty good shot of booking it out of there before they can attack again. Hell, even if you're completely unarmoured and not in a vehicle, they still can't kill you in a single hit. All that goes without mentioning the fact that pretty much every enemy in the game, with the partial exception of the humble crashfish we mentioned earlier, is either way slower than you are or is way less manoeuvrable. You can escape even Leviathans by just running away at a slight angle, almost immediately putting you out of range of their charge. Crucially though, they'll still follow you and roar, giving you a good scare and the feeling you only made it out by the skin of your teeth, even though you weren't really in danger at all. This is the real genius behind Subnautica. Unlike so many games with fear-based elements, Subnautica commits to the idea of pure terror, the kind of fear that's pretty much all in your head. By understanding how other mediums can convey and control different kinds of emotional states, we can learn new techniques to put into video games, not only to increase the intensity of stuff like fear, but also to ensure that those emotions don't run out of steam. Of course, in telling you how Subnautica really works, I've kind of spoiled the scares for you. Or did I?
Wow, okay. The fear of the unknown. That is the key to this. The terror, the knowing that there's something out there, you just don't know it. And it makes you freak out. Your mind just imagines things that like, oh, this is dangerous. We can't go near there. Please, we have to go. Please, I'm too scared. And all that jazz. So when you apply that stuff, the fear of the unknown, not knowing what you're facing and hearing the sounds that they make, generates that sense of fear inside your head, knowing that you always are on your toes, knowing that what you're facing could be far away or it could be really close by and you just don't know it yet. And that is scary. So knowing how Subnautica did this, really outdone themselves in terms of just creating like these monsters that just know how to create a spook on you, basically. But in a continuous like, I know he's there, 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 and then just knowing you can't escape that, and that just it's just there, still lingering in the back of your head, and that like he's out there, they're going for me, and there's nothing I can do about it. So that's ingenious for Subnautica to do that. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you had a good time with this. I'll probably leave a link for the guy up here, and be sure to check out whatever stuff I got going on over here. And as always, thanks for watching. Thank you for coming on by, and as always, Romans, salute.